This morning we're joined by public policy analyst, democracy advocate, author, and former two-time commissioner, Mr. Magnus Onyibe. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's quickly, before we get into the conversation with you, we have our correspondent who is in Delta State to bring us updates exactly as to what is going on in Delta State and how Democracy Day is being received. Hello, Austin Azu. Good morning. And talk to us about, I think, first of all, Happy Democracy Day. How is it being celebrated in Delta State, Asaba? Austin, we were not able to connect with you. We cannot hear you. If you are muted, please unmute yourself. All right. We hope to be able to connect with Austin before we wrap up the conversation. And we thought it was very fitting, as we have a former commissioner in Delta State here with us, that we see exactly how it's been celebrated there. But let's talk about our Democracy Day, our democracy journey from 1990. I mean, beyond 1993, but the 12th of June, 1993 became celebrated because of the election that has been referred to as the freest and arguably the first election that we've ever had in this country. So let's talk about how we have fared so far. Now we're focusing on transparency and accountability. From maybe 1999 up until 2024, how would you say that we have journeyed looking at transparency and accountability in government?
Yeah, generally, the view of Nigerians may be that we have not done so much, but if you look at it critically, you see that a lot has changed, especially because of the engagement of civil society with respect to those who look at the finances, for instance. Take budget it, take statistics, and so many others. The fourth realm of the estate, really is the civil society, and a society is believed to have imbibed democracy when that fourth realm becomes very active, and over the years. That has become manifest in Nigeria, unlike those days when the whole battle started with people like Olisa Agbakoba, heading civil society organization, and stuff like that. Now there are so many civil society organizations in Nigeria looking at what government is doing, critically, and that's why we know all the malfeasance that's going on right now. And, government has even moved a step further recently. The office of, an office in the presidency headed by Ms. Bala Usman, Hadiza.
Hadiza, yes.
There's an app that has just been introduced called Eagle Eye or something like that, that Nigerians generally can use to monitor government programs and policies. Those are the kind of things that have been added, and so when people use those apps or get information, they ask government, operatives, what's going on, and so that's probably why most of these things are being thrown up, and we now know the kind of things that are going on inside government. So with respect to accountability, we would say, that we have grown some notches. The only area where we haven't done so much is sanctioning. It's, what the EFCC is doing, what the ICPC is doing, and stuff like that.
What about what lawmakers are earning? What the budgets? Because these are areas that have been highlighted a lot in this current administration, for example.
Yes, the very good thing about all of it is that the salary of the judiciary has just been moved up, by 300%. I wrote copiously about it, for a very long time. And, but some people are also kicking against it. They are saying, why is it that is the salary of the judiciary that has been moved up, whereas the one for the ordinary workers has not been moved up? But the response to that is that over the years, because the judiciary is not within the civil service thing and whatever, theirs was not reviewed as the NLC one, as the workers one generally, because there's a bill or an act that was passed in 2019 that the salary of workers should be,
The
reviewed every 5 years.
I think
That was not done to.
I think that they had a long period of wait
Exactly,
from
for a very long
2008
time.
or so
For a
when
very
those
long
initial
time.
acts.
A very long time.
Yeah, but let's quickly bring in Austin Azu. We're going to get back to these questions. Austin, good morning. All right, might be a little noisy where you are. Okay, if you can hear us clearly, quickly share with us, what the celebration is like over there in Asaba this morning.
Well, Austin, we're sorry, we have to
Yeah.
cut you off. That audio is not representative of Delta State audio.
It's
Absolutely.
Mr. Onyibe, I want you to speak a little bit, because you've said this morning that you believe that there is an improved, civil society, but many people would argue, otherwise. And the reason is they might be present, but they're almost irrelevant. Irrelevant because there's not much that civil society and its presence has been able to achieve in the last decade or more. In fact, more than the last decade. We still have a situation where the Nigerian army can go to Banex Plaza in Abuja and shut it down because it's soldiers got into a fight. We still have situations where the government can decide to spend 21 billion building a house for its vice president, spend 90 billion, sending people on religious pilgrimage. But you don't have an actual civil society that speaks up, against these things and gets the government to actually reverse these policies. Because SERAP, for example, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, has a billion lawsuits against the federal government that don't seem to really achieve much. So they might be present, but if they're achieving absolutely nothing, if they do not work hand in hand with the NLC when there's meant to be a protest, then they're irrelevant.
No, it's not true. They are absolutely not irrelevant. If they were not relevant, you would not know what you're just saying right now. They are the ones who dig up the information. And it is their duty to do what they do. Set up is in court every day.
Yes.
Like I said, the civil society organization that was started by Olusegun and co, they are responsible for the democracy that you're enjoying right now. Olusegun and co and his colleagues were bloodied. They were bludgeoned by the military. They went to jail. They arrested them on the street. They clobbered them on the head. And they fought on until democracy got introduced.
Yeah.
This thing is not a 100 meters dash. Unfortunately, it's a marathon. So it takes time to turn over.
How much more time? Because it's been 25 years. And I don't know how much progress. Some would argue that we're actually retrogressing as opposed to progressing. You've mentioned Olusegun, and we'll go on a break shortly, but I'm hoping that after we come back from the break, I can play a clip regarding his response to democracy. But do you still have faith in the current democratic process that we have and the current democratic process that we run?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Things are going to turn around. Like I said, it's a grinding wheel. This is the first time we're doing democracy consistently for 25 years. So it's a milestone. It was always truncated by the military a few years after. So we've made progress, definitely. 25 years.
Okay.
So it's going to, it takes time. Bureaucracy, government policy, it's not like human beings. Like you invited me yesterday and I'm here. If you invited government to do something and whatever, it would take 5 years because of bureaucracy, because there's a lot of approval processes, there are a lot of things that have to go into it and whatever. So it's slow, but it's steady, All right.
I would like us to quickly look at the video of Olusegun.
Okay.
I had asked him about democracy and what he thought about Democracy Day. We'll take a look at the video, we'll go on a break, and then we'll have you react to it when we come back.
Okay.
Say this on Democracy Day. Are we really mature for democracy? Deep conceptual question. Very deep. So here where we have formal democracy, will the person on the streets say, on this day of democracy, May 29, I'm happy? Well, that answer will be no. So the real conceptual question I'm throwing out today to politicians is that we ripe democracy. We shouldn't take it for granted. Where is why we're democratic? Yes, fine. Where is it? Where is it? That's why I like Obasanjo's redefinition of democracy. It must be by the consent and contentment of Nigerians.
There you have it. We'll go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll have our guest in studio react to that. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still assessing Nigeria's democracy, looking particularly at our levels of transparency and accountability. Before we went on the break, we had a look at Olisa Agbakowa's response to Nigeria being ripe for democracy, and he asked a key question saying, is Nigeria really ripe for democracy? And in the studio, we're joined by Mr. Magnus Onyibe. Thank you once again for being here with us. Before we went on the break, I said that you were going to watch the video, and now we can have your response.
Nigeria is ripe for democracy. I don't totally agree with my good friend, Dr. Olisa Agbakowa. He actually graciously wrote afterwards a chapter in my book. The reason I'm saying Nigeria is ripe for democracy is that, as I said earlier, democracy is not a 100 meters dash. It's a marathon. It takes a long time to evolve. If you go to the story of how democracy originated in Greece, in Athens, you can see the evolution that it went through. If you look at how it evolved in the United States of America, you find out that it didn't just happen overnight. You know, as a matter of fact, in America, there was a time that they all wanted to have a conference and develop a constitution, you know, but got to a point that they just realized that that wasn't going to work. So they selected a few people who had to work that out, you know. So they have gone through all sorts of processes. And that's why you also have variants. You have the parliamentary type, you have the presidential type, you have the pseudo type, you know, and stuff like that. We're in Africa. So, you know, our democracy is not going to be ideal in the way it is in America or in the UK or in Europe, you know. We have to, our own has to evolve with our peculiarities. There has to be dynamics of the environment that we're in. That's why some people are proposing, you know, that when the constitution is rejigged or repackaged, that it probably be a mix of both the presidential and parliamentary system, because there are certain things that are not agreeable or acceptable to our culture, you know, in the democracy, the way it is practiced or the way we borrowed it from abroad. So we probably have to stick with one or two things to be able to gel with what we're doing. As the Learned Sake said, people are not happy. You know, incidentally, at this particular juncture, it's a time where there's a lot of reforms, and the reforms are bringing pains. But you know, hopefully it's going to be temporary, because the pains that are coming are pains that will bring better future. It's like pains of childbirth. You know, the woman, you know, feels all the pains and cries and everything, but by the time the baby arrives, she's happy. So it's like, this is pain with hope. If it is pain with hopelessness.
Yeah, but where exactly do you see that hope? Because, you know, the changes that you're speaking about now, for example, I'm going to believe they are the removal of petrol subsidy, unification of the exchange rate, and all of that. Have you then seen, you know, since those moves were made, that the country is being redirected in any way? That the funds that are being saved are being channeled in a different direction, you know, that would give birth to something else?
Yes. In fact, you know, I'm a media columnist. My column, you know, 2 weeks ago was that the president spent the first 1 year planting. I used I illustrated it with farming, you know, and when you plant, you wait for the crop to sprout.
Yes.
And to bear fruit later. It's not bearing fruit right now, it's just sprouting. He has 4 years term, and this is just the first year. So we have only done 25% out of 100%. So yeah. It's not, you know, so as I said, you know, there's hope because of the reforms, and not just the ones that you just mentioned about petrol subsidy and the Naira. There's education fund. You know, there's electricity. You know, those are fundamental. Electricity especially, you know, though that people keep saying that the reason Nigerian economy hasn't grown or is not industrialized is because of lack of supply of power, unsteady supply of power. Now, two things are happening. Dangote refinery is coming, and you know, that will take care of energy insecurity that we've been suffering. Now, there's reform in the electricity power sector, wherein you know, a decree or a law was passed in 2023, and things are going to change. Everybody is now, just like banking or telecoms, anybody can invest in producing energy. You know, if you want to use solar, that's fine. If you want to use wind, that's fine. State governments are getting involved already. The energy companies from Europe that did not get involved when the sector was unbundled a few years ago, Siemens and Co. are ready to come in now and partner. So when there's steady and abundant supply of electricity, there'll be industrialization. When there's industrialization, there'll be prosperity for the people because they'll be employed.
Yeah, but the thing is, not very many people believe this. Yeah, I mean, these, you know, sound like they're hopeful narratives. You know, everyone wants you to hold on in 1 year or 2 years. You know, the president doesn't run for a second term, then hopefully, you know, pulls this off in 4 years. But there's multinationals that have left Nigeria, fled the country in the last couple of months. We heard about 2 others just yesterday, and it's not.
Yesterday.
Would you say that they don't know about these prospects that you're speaking of?
Yes, you know, probably, you know, what one point I've always made is that probably government is not communicating this very well, this hope agenda to the people. So a lot of people are despondent. That's clear. You know, but as for the multinationals that are moving away, that shows you, you know, apart from colonialism, there's something called neo-colonialism. Some of these outfits that are living were in Nigeria, and they were dependent solely on resources from here. They're not getting funding from their home country. And, you know, when the funds from here are not coming, they are moving away, so they have low capital threshold. Cadbury is still here. There's so many of them who are still here. Right. The ones that are, as far as I'm concerned, the ones that are moving out are the ones that don't have enough, you know, strength. They're not robust enough to be able to withstand the challenges that we're facing right now. But things will turn around.
Well, okay, how do you respond to people who say that we're not faring well when it comes to transparency and accountability? One, we can't see how much is coming into the Federation coffers. NNPC, we know the role. Everyone has been saying that, you know, NNPC's dealings have been very opaque. Many people will tell you that they do not know how much the senators, you know, our lawmakers, legislators, how much they're making. So what would be your response, you know, addressing the NNPC situation in particular and transparency regarding how much is coming into the Federation account?
Yes, I agree totally. A lot of people have raised issues with transparency matters in this economy. And I believe that the president would address it eventually because there are so many things on his plate. We can't do everything at the same time. We prioritize issues. As far as I'm concerned, you know, what the president should actually be doing right now is addressing the insecurity in the country. That should be number one. Even if, you know, I believe that they're probably doing something about it, but it's quiet because he probably wants to do a paradigm shift. Because prior to this time, because the people who have led us have been ex-military people, General Obasanjo, General Buhari, they have been doing the kinetic aspect of it, you know, military force, you know, shoot them and stuff like that and whatever. And, you know, now the whole strategy is changing to kinetic and non-kinetic, carrot and stick, you know, so that you can be able to get to the bottom of everything. And maybe the president is also now thinking of using more of technology to be able to track these things. So, and the outcome of his plans haven't started manifesting yet because there's so many things. You have to prioritize things. You can't do everything at the same time. He's trying to stabilize the economy. He's trying to do the energy aspect of it. You know,
there's so much that really needs to be done, but we can only keep hope and expect the best for Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Magnus Onyibe. You are a democracy advocate, former commissioner, and congratulations on the launch of your book,
Thank you
Leading
very much.
from the Streets.
Thank you.
All right.